It's chocolate week, and a week I've been dreading. This week we have to make a chocolate mousse cup, and the cup has to be edible. So it's my week to temper chocolate. I am making a Black Forest chocolate inspired mousse cup. I'm going to temper chocolate to make my cup, and then I'm going to fill it with a chocolate mousse, a layer of chocolate cake, cherry jelly, cherry mousse, and then cover it with some whipped cream and glacé cherries or candied cherries.
So let's get started by tempering the chocolate for the cup. I start by melting 2/3 of my chocolate in the microwave until it reaches 115 degrees, then stir in the remaining third of the chocolate. This cools the chocolate and encourages those stable cocoa butter crystals to form. Once it reaches 89 degrees, it's ready to use. I like to do a test strip on a piece of parchment paper. If after a couple of minutes it's hard and has a snap, you know you've tempered your chocolate correctly. If not, you can keep heating, cooling, and testing again until you've got it. Tempering is what gives chocolate its shine, that crisp snap, the smooth texture. When chocolate isn't tempered, it looks dull and melts too easily in your hands. So now we've got the chocolate in the molds. Let's let them cool and let's get started on the cherry jelly. I'm using dark sweet cherries and pureeing them with my immersion blender and then cooking the puree down on the stove. So jellies are hard because you want the right texture. You want it firm enough to place into your mousse cup, but you don't want it to be rubbery either. And it's hard to know how to achieve that. I'm still learning the ratios myself, and I really hope this jelly turns out. I'm going to add sugar, some citric acid for some tartness, and a little splash of maraschino cherry juice, mainly because I love the flavor. For thickener, I'm using a combination of fruit pectin and sheet gelatin. The pectin gives it that natural jammy texture, while the gelatin adds structure. Once the puree is cooked, I'm pouring it into these smaller silicone molds that will fit nicely into my larger mousse cup molds. I'm going to pop them into the freezer so they'll set up nice and hard, and so it'll be easier to handle them when I layer them into the mousse cups.
I'm using maraschino cherries today. We're going to make some glacé cherries or some candied cherries, and we're going to cook them down in some syrup and sugar and get them candied. There are so many things to keep track of. I have cherries on the stove. I'm about to make a mousse, one of two mousses, and I'm making a chocolate cake, and it's a lot to manage. So let's move on to the cherry mousse. I'm making a meringue and using more sheet gelatin, and I've never made a mousse like this. It's a whipped cream and meringue folded together. But the cherries, they're done. They have to be cooked to a softball stage, and I almost forgot about them. Now I've got to move my camera. I'm really excited about these. I love maraschino cherries, but I've never made glacé cherries before, and I think these are just going to be so delicious. Back to the meringue, I'm adding sugar and whipping the egg whites until they're stiff peaks. I felt like the cherry puree color looked a little sad, so I added some red food coloring to brighten it up a little. I whipped some cream to soft peaks, and now I'm folding some of that cherry puree and setting it aside. This will be a really nice creamy base. And so then I fold the rest of the cherry puree into the meringue, which adds lightness and a lot more sugar. Finally, I will combine the two, the cherry cream and the cherry meringue, and move it to the fridge. Now let's whip up some whipped cream again. There's a lot of whipped cream in this recipe, and that's why mousse cups are so delicious. This chocolate mousse is not your typical chocolate mousse though. It's made with a pâte à baume, which gives the mousse a luxurious texture and really great flavor. To make it, I whisked egg yolks and sugar over a water bath to get it to just the right temperature, which I didn't film, but then you move it to the stand mixer and whip it until the mixture becomes thick and pale. Now I'm folding that mixture into a whipped cream that has melted chocolate already folded into it. This is the kind of mousse that's incredibly stable and so delicious. At this point, I was really nervous kind of about my proportions, so I had all my components made and I had to take a bite. You guys, I think a handshake is in my future. That is if I can unmold these chocolate mousse cups. Oh, this part was so stressful. I had no idea how to approach this, but I thought it'd probably be smart if I took off some of this excess chocolate. So I used a paring knife that I had dipped in a coffee mug full of boiling water and removed enough for me to test it again. I was feeling pretty optimistic until that broke. But it's okay. I kept pushing forward and it came out beautifully. Look at that. I tempered a chocolate cup.
Oh, I love it so much. But here we go. I've got to unmold the rest of them. It's finally time to assemble the cups. There are so many elements, so I'm preparing them all so assembly goes more smoothly. I put my chocolate mousse into a piping bag and now my cherry mousse, and now I'm smoothing out the top of my cups using a small cookie sheet that I warmed in the oven for about 5 minutes. Wanted to make it look real nice. Now it's time to assemble the cups and time for a confession. I did not make these cups in the 2.5 hours that I was given. I made the tempered chocolate cups the night before and planned on making everything else and assembling it in the allotted time, but I'm juggling real life amongst these bakes, and once I realized just how much I had to make, I kind of panicked and took an easy way out and did not bake my chocolate cake the day of. You see, I love making cake. I'm known for my cake slices on Instagram and have spent a lot of time perfecting those recipes. I almost always have frozen cakes in my freezer for when a custom cake order comes up or an occasion just like this. So I pulled my famous chocolate cake out of the freezer and cut them to the perfect size rectangles for my cups. And I don't regret it. I let these mousse cups sit in the fridge until they firmed up, and now it's time to decorate. I had an idea in my head of this really pretty piping of whipped cream, but when I started piping the lines, they kind of came out squiggly, but then I didn't like the squiggly lines. Then I did my lines, and this piping tip is too small, so I found the right size piping tip, which is this one. My problem that I have, though, is that I over whipped my whipped cream. If it would have been a little softer whipped cream, it would have looked more professional, I'd say. This is the leftover juice from the glacé cherries, and I like that just pop of red that it provides. Last touch is the cherries themselves. These are my 6 chocolate mousse cups in a edible chocolate cup. Okay, what do you think?
I actually think they're very cute. Yeah, this looks good. This will be the one I eat.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. And this is why I'm not on camera. Now I want like the full thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
show the camera your bite.
That's a big bite.
Mm-hmm.
Got the cherry on top. That's really good. that's really good. I love those.
Oh, yay.
You want a bite?
I do. This went from romantic to like toddler really quick.
That was a big bite.
Mm-hmm. But good.
Yeah.
Really good.
I know.
I was worried about my proportions.
Well, this is still chocolate, and I think it is chocolate week, and so you have to say it's chocolate.
It's chocolate.
But one doesn't overpower the other.
Thank you. I think I felt that way too. Like, this is a chocolate mousse cup, but wow, there's like a really pretty cherry note here.
Yeah, you can screw up the balance real easy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I really like it.
I really do too.
Yay! And I love that it's my first YouTube video. Okay, are we done? Do you want to take any more bites? Have any last commentary?
I'm going to finish the rest of this and probably lick the mousse out of the bottom of this chocolate cup.